93% of business leaders believe it's important for humans to have oversight of AI or machine learning when making significant decisions. Great. I'd like to talk to the 7% who think it's fine just to, have no oversight at all. Because as it relates to AI cannot perform without human input. It can't. It has to have human input. Then AI can enhance. But it has to have human input. Now, as it relates to the oversight side of things, I don't know how anybody would think that AI needs no oversight. It's a jungle out there, and I think the big stories are still yet to hit. I can't predict specifically what they're going to be, but there's still going to be some big bombshell stories coming out. And I think that we're just scratching the surface of how this can be abused and how it can be used in a positive way. So the greatest high-level organizational risk of implementing AI as identified by these executives are data security and privacy, concerns on accountability, inability to measure the ROI, and decision-making errors. 77% of executives are concerned about timeliness or reliability of the underlying data that will potentially feed their AI systems. So what they're saying is can we be nimble enough to feed it to where it can be effective, or do we just rely on our existing systems? 73% of business leaders are feeling pressure to implement AI at their organizations, but the vast majority are aware of giving up too much decision-making power. Good for you, leaders. I would hold the line on this. Now, if you look at data security and privacy, they're concerned that there will be holes in it. Can AI hack AI? Accountability, absolutely is huge. Can some bad actors come in here and do some really, really unethical, pirate-type things? Absolutely. Now, the inability to measure ROI, I think that's going to come down to systems. And then decision-making errors are absolutely there. Now, here's the deal. We shared a story on this decision-making error of AI recently where a lawyer got fired for having ChatGPT write a brief and pulled inaccurate information in its desire to give information. So I think lawyers love ChatGPT. We talked about it on the show. 3/4 of the executives said their organization lacks the skills to fully implement AI. So they're going, okay, I don't think we got the right people on the bus to help us leverage this the right way. And I think they're right. AI learning and leveraging talent with AI is going to be an absolute must for companies moving forward. 76% said their own knowledge of AI needs improvement. Come on. It's like trying to get your parents to use FaceTime for the first time. It's a complete disaster. They don't know what they're doing. It's brand new. So there needs to be some understanding of AI as well. Now, I share this to say this is a good sign that our business leaders are saying, you know what? This needs some time. It needs some oversight. It needs some responsibility, some accountability. We need to test this stuff. It's very, very important. But AI is here to stay. Make no mistake about it. But some companies are going, nope, not interested. This headline from the Wall Street Journal, companies are banning ChatGPT, including JP Morgan Chase, Verizon, have blocked access to ChatGPT. Others are encouraging alternatives. Amazon essentially has their own, and so they want people using theirs, of course. There are concerns about privacy and trade secrets throughout a lot of industries. And when you see big companies like Verizon and JP Morgan Chase going, nope, not using it, there's a couple things going on there. I think they're absolutely worried about privacy and trade secrets. I also think they're worried about liability. That's the dirty little secret. ChatGPT is so new, and there's so many ways to use it, but there's also so many ways to get abused by it and abuse others with it that I think a lot of companies are going, you know what? We're not going to be the first ones to be dragged into court and have to do a multi-$100-million settlement, blah, 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 blah. And so they're going, you know what? We don't understand it. We don't know how it's going to be used. The implications are absolutely terrifying and making ourselves liable legally. You're going to see a lot of companies do this. So I think it's fear-based. And by the way, a healthy dose of fear on this is really good. Safe than sorry is the phrase that comes to mind here with this policy. More than 40% of nearly 12,000 workers that were surveyed said they use ChatGPT or other AI tools at work. Half said they use ChatGPT for tasks such as writing and responding to emails. I haven't tried that yet. I might be more active on email, guys, if I could use ChatGPT to write an email. But again, what kind of email are you writing that you need ChatGPT for? Most of my emails are like, okay, good, sounds great, thanks. If you're writing policy emails, you better be careful, like that lawyer got fired. It looks really simple. Hey, ChatGPT, give me write me a brief on such and such a case that was blah, 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 blah. And ChatGPT gets a bunch of fake information. It gave fake case information. The lawyer lost their job. It's not worth it. Here's the deal. At its face, if you use ChatGPT, and I've been messing around with it, but I haven't published anything. I knew that was the next question. But I'll tell you this, if you're going to use it for information, you better edit it. Don't just take it face value. It's an oopsie at the least. It's a oh crap at the worst. Now, roughly 25% of worker surveys said they feared a manager would look down their nose at them if they knew they use ChatGPT. Others thought that their bosses would praise them for finding ways to speed up work. I think it's the latter. I think as long as there's no plagiarism and no exposure, most bosses will be like, fine, you got the job done. How'd you do it? Can I use it? That's what I think they're going to say. Here's an interesting story I want to share with you on this. In this article, this Wall Street Journal article, Robert Bai is 31. He lives in Orlando, Florida. Says he has integrated the tool into his workflow, and he's very careful not to share confidential information on the platform. He said he's asked ChatGPT to pretend it held his job at a tech company without naming the name of the company, Figma, in the query. And then he asked ChatGPT to share a 10-point vision statement based on draft thoughts that he plugged in. And so this is fascinating. He gives ChatGPT 10, let's call it bullet points. And then he says, now draft me a vision statement based on this. And this is how the human and the AI should work together. So it's his thoughts. He plugs it in and he says, expand on it. Fascinating. So he also asked it to rewrite drafts to sound more informative, colloquial, concise, emotive, or aspirational. And then he edits anything that the AI-generated text gives him. Now, why am I sharing this story? That in and of itself is not interesting. Well, Mr. Bai is dyslexic. He says writing takes him hours and ChatGPT makes him more efficient. He uses it often enough that it's bookmarked. He says, I spend more time on stuff that I'm good at, which isn't written language. And this is why I like ChatGPT. For some of you who would say, you know, I have a known weakness in the area of verbal skills. My writing is not good, or I'm okay, but I don't enjoy it. It tends to suck the energy out of it. So this is about talent and passion. If you don't have the talent or the passion for writing or developing content, ChatGPT is a wonderful tool. Again, if you have the discipline to edit it and do your homework and make sure that it's quality work, that you don't get burned by it. And if you don't get burned by it, it's great. So, 2 ChatGPT articles to simply drive this home. AI is here to stay in the workplace. If you ignore it, I think you do so at your own peril. You need to know how to function with it. So download it. Play around with it. Start using it. Use it wisely, and I think you're going to be okay. But to ignore it, to stick your head in the sand, that goes for leaders and workers, I think will do you a disservice.